170. Look up, 1, 2.
Jody Darcy, we've just had our annual weaner sale for 2014. Really quite a good quality yard here cattle, and they've gone to Swan Hill into Gippsland several different ways. They've gone to King Island. They've stayed locally. Mount Gambier in the southeast of South Australia has absorbed a lot of our cattle. Regardless whether they're steers or heifers, they've all sold fairly well on today's market. Best Charolais calves were up around $1.90, and their weights were somewhere around 360 to 380 kilos. This season, a lot of our calves are probably 30 kilos behind where they possibly could be, but that's just due to the poor autumn that we did have when they were born. So generally March up with rubber calves. When we swung onto the Angus run, fair bit of competition. 370, 380 was a common weight for us, and we were getting prices up around $1.92 as well. So the lowest price we got on above 300 kilos was $1.75. Then we swung onto an outstanding run of Hereford cattle and short-horn cross cattle, so the strawberry roans. I think we've reached a pretty good market high this season of $2.02, and they were 378 kilos for the steers. Then their younger brothers also, they made $1.92, and then we got on an outstanding run of Hereford calves, fully weaned with good breeding, and a lot of South Australian pole Hereford blood in these, so we're getting rid of the horns that way. Just building dehorn, as we say. And those calves sold generally to about firm to slightly dearer rates, we believe. Onto our females, because we sell them both on the same day. The best female sales we had were for future breeding black females. They made $1.62, and they were 308 kilos. Vendor was very happy with that. These were classed out of a 350 cow herd, and they're just surplus to requirement. Younger sisters also, they made $1.60, and they were only 20 kilos lighter. As far as the EU goes, a few pens of EU cattle, certainly a premium for EU cattle. We don't have any PCAS cattle, but there's only one buyer I'm aware of in this region chasing those particular style of cattle, or that brand. However, the King Island competition here today was outstanding. They've had these cattle before. They say they do really well, and I think it's just the breeding. So a lot of the vendors here are putting a fair bit into their size, but we class the females pretty hard, and that's coming out now. Repeat buys on several fronts, particularly King Island. We had one buy here with 4 decks of cattle. Another buy, he bought a B-double of cattle, so that's where they're up to, and their rates were very hard to beat.
We saw a healthy rise in price averages today. What were the major influences?
Definitely the breeding of the cattle, and I think it just comes back to money put out and female selection. You know, we put a lot of emphasis on our breeding females we retain for style, quality, depth, you know, hip width, pin width, just different ratios that we try and work within our cattle on that. And when you see them, when buyers stand over them, they can actually see the quality. You know, these calves here are getting to be some of the better calves that we can offer in Victoria. And you know, certainly the mountain calves, they're going to take a hell of a lot of beating, but I'd like to think that in another year or two we're going to have a lot of vendors and be getting very close to them. So that's a warning from this end of the state.
What about, you had some great feedlot support here today. How did that help the floor price?
It helped put it in, but I think they had a maximum. You know, they've still got another 15,000 cattle to go through this week. So, you know, they're bidding up to about $1.85. They don't want to break out on that. I know that the occasional EU pens for certain jobs, they've got to be certain spec cattle, they've got to be certain quality. Just because they're EU, just because they're black, doesn't mean they're going to make it. But we did see a bit of a ceiling in their market today, and once they got 1 or 2 cents over that, they just got very, very nervous. They just didn't want to be there.
So with this being the new peak in the weaner season in Western Victoria, how do you forecast the rest of the week faring?
I think it'll be good. You know, Gippsland's going to be the key. Everyone always talks about Queensland, New South Wales. I know those markets are important. Gippsland and the southeast can absorb a hell of a lot of cattle, and particularly on a year like this. Gippsland were underwater 3 months ago, now they've got feet over the fence. So, you know, they can absorb the cattle and they can finish them, and that's what the market's about. But again, they've probably got their maximum they want to buy to. We do miss a little bit of the northern competition, but I think in about 2 more years from now, we should see a fairly good return from the north. And I hope they have a really good season next year, and all the best for that. But at the moment, they've had a good enough season here that we can absorb as many cattle as we can.
170. Look up, 1, 2.